My name is Joy. I am an author, photographer. I am a writer. I've been writing since I was 7 years old. And I am now getting into the spaces of holistic and uh, shadow work care. It's a really deep space to be in as far as doing the work to help yourself in those spaces of doing the work of healing and inner healing. I am very open and honest about my journey with both depression and anxiety. I've had depression since I was around 8 years old, and I was formally diagnosed at 18. And I've had anxiety for roughly around the same time, but my anxiety never really presented itself in a really, for lack of a better word, clockable way. Even though I didn't really know how to present that space, I didn't know how to um, ask for or receive help in those spaces as far as anxiety is concerned. And then once working in the, what is it? Working and finding my way through freshman year of college, that's when I really started having my experiences when it comes to anxiety. I would get really tight in the chest. I couldn't breathe. I would have to, I would acknowledge or notice myself not taking in full deep breaths. And that was when I realized that I had anxiety. I, my first instance of having a panic attack, I was maybe about 20, 21, 22. And I was in a Walmart, and there were just so many things happening at once. And I couldn't breathe. I started to feel everything close in on me. I started to feel the heaviness of the room and the heaviness of the air. Like it was so encapsulated. Like things were literally falling over me, even though I was fine on the outside. And I had a basket in Walmart, and I had to leave the basket where I was. And I asked on Twitter, like I put out there that this had just happened to me. Is this a panic attack? Somebody had tweeted back at me and saying, yes, this is a panic attack. That's normally what they look like, is what they feel like. Does it feel like the entire world is spiraling and you can't catch your breath? And I'm like, yes. They're like, yeah, that's a panic attack. So that was my first instance of having a full-fledged panic attack. The last big panic attack well, it wasn't big, but the last on record that I can remember panic attack that I had was earlier this year. It was around April or May. And it was a similar situation. There was a lot of people in a lot of space. And it made me have those same feelings and those same thoughts, that tightness, and I can't breathe, I can't move. And nothing was really remedying that. It made it really uncomfortable. So working through that and trying to figure out how to best remedy that was the most helpful thing that I could do. And that's a big part of why I'm working in the inner healing and with the everything that has to do with embodying and fully walking in healing. Um, a few more things about me and the work that I do. This is, I'm finally walking in the work that I do myself. And I had to go through a lot, especially this year, because this year has been going on for 84 years. I have really had to come to terms with the things that I was performing healed with, and not actually healed from, or presenting being healed, but not actually doing the work or thinking I'm doing the work and going through the motions of doing the work, but still running from the big parts of the actual work. So that plays into the emotional addictions that I had. Me being me, of course, I took notes. I have notes here. And because I did not want to come at this from someone on the outside looking in, looking at this and going, oh, that'll be something really good to talk about. I should share about it, even though I either have no experience about it or I have my feelings and my thoughts, but I didn't have any true legwork or any real time in that space. So, what are emotional addictions? I posted earlier today referencing what emotional addictions can look like and what they can appear as. Addiction in and of itself is something that is causing you to be pulled into something. It's a form of escapism. And the big parts of addiction that we hear about the most is, oh, you're addicted to drugs, addicted to alcohol or any other substance, or you're addicted to sex. The lower level parts of those things are, oh, I'm addicted to shopping, I'm addicted to food, I'm addicted to those things. Something that plugs a hole instead of actually remedying the hole. And a lot of us come from addictive families. We may exhibit addictive behaviors. We may have addictive personalities. And I myself come from an addictive family. And I actively don't drink. I've never done any sorts of drugs, not shaming anyone for it. It was just because I know the type of family background I have. I tried to be very adamant and not acknowledging that side actually acknowledging that side, but choosing to go the other way. So it's a big part of why I don't drink. I have nothing against cannabis or anything. And actually, I do want to try it one day. I just never have. The closest I've gotten is CBD, which helps with my anxiety. So I don't shame anyone for it. It's just something that I don't do. And but over the last almost year, I have really been called to task about the other things that I'm addicted to. And one thing that I was really addicted to was just trying to think exactly how to say it. I was really addicted to shame. And I of course, I'm going to make sure that I really open this conversation up and not just leave you with like, I was addicted to shame. Thanks for joining me, everyone. I was addicted to the feeling of being shamed. And this is something that I have opened up. I've opened with my therapist. I was addicted to that feeling of not being good enough and being viewed as less than, being viewed as shameful because of how I came to be, because of how I came to this world. And I had become addicted to that narrative. I had become addicted, that had become my story. The idea that I am this and I can't be anything else, or I'm choosing not to be anything else because that's all I am. So I had become addicted to the narrative of not being good enough, not being worthy, not being deserving. And it came from my upbringing and being ingrained in me, it being something that, especially because I grew up in the church, big ass Baptist church, the idea of shame and just gnashing of teeth and just, I'm trash, was that was viewed as, oh, you're honoring God because you're acknowledging how trash of a human being you are. And I, on top of martyrdom, were two identities that I latched onto and decided was who I was. And because even in the Bible, those of us that are church kids, that the greatest way of showing love to someone is if you lay down your life for your brother. Like, those were the things, I literally took those things and ran with them because I wanted deep down somebody to notice me. I wanted somebody to pay attention to me. I wanted somebody to acknowledge me. And if that meant I had to lay down my life, that's what I was going to do, because I wanted somebody to go, oh my gosh, we see her, I acknowledge her, she's doing amazing things. Thank you, blah, blah, blah. But that never happened. And that didn't stop me from being addicted to that. We can also, as far as emotional labor goes, we can become addicted to the behaviors that emotional labor presents. And we can become addicted to the it's so many ways that this can go. We can become addicted to the I'm gonna go over here and I'm gonna be this to this person, and I'm gonna prove to them that I'm worthy. I'm gonna prove to them that I am someone that is to be acknowledged, someone that is to be taken care of. But it doesn't work in that space. It more or less breaks down the person. It more or less causes more harm than good. And we can tend to look at it and go, oh well, that's not it's not as bad as I thought it was. It's not as bad as I expected it would be. But it's all I know at the time. We we can cause those things to sorry, we're getting some questions. Um, we can unintentionally cause that addictive behavior by refusing to acknowledge where it's coming from, or deciding that this is enough. We're fine here. This is fine, and we're not going to move forward anymore. This is this is this is enough. I'm okay to be in a space of less than, as long as I'm getting one or two needs met. I'm okay to be in that space. And somewhere down the line, the narrative turned into, I'm going to just get by with whatever I have, instead of acknowledging who I am truly at my core. Or if I don't know what that is, doing the work to actually find out who I am at my core. So, how do you do that? I am coming from someone who's still actively in that space. I am not coming from a space that has all of the answers. I'm learning a lot of this in real time. And through the benevolent help of my therapist, as well as the other tools that I have picked up along the way in the last year, one of the things that I've learned on how to release emotional addictions, and it sounds so simple, but it's one of the hardest things to do: admit that you're addicted. I have an alcoholic mother. My mother has gone to AA multiple times, and she's had to sit in the midst of those other people and those other brave souls in AA and admit, my name is dot dot dot, and I am an alcoholic. Whether or not she meant those words or not, she had to stand in that space and admit, I'm an alcoholic. Admitting to myself that I was addicted to the narrative of shame, I was addicted to the narrative of being a victim, I was addicted to helping people, I was addicted to being left with very little to show for it, and then calling that strength and calling that like, oh girl, you made it. You sitting here got hit by a bus, and you got hit by a bike, but you were in a car, and you looking at that and going, oh girl, look how strong you are. And it became, no, that's not strength. That's me not paying attention. That's me not acknowledging that I did not look both ways. I did not do the bare minimum of what I needed to do, and deciding that I'm no longer going to play a hand in my own demise. So acknowledging that, yep, I am addicted to victimhood. I am I am addicted to that because somewhere that narrative was ingrained in me, and I took that narrative and ran with it. And that one step is the hardest because it takes a lot of the onus, even though some of these people deserve the pointed fingers that end up on them. Like I said last night on the other live, there are times when you have to step back and realize that, oh, that that was me. I I chose that. That was me. And that is not easy. It's not easy. It's so much easier for us to blame other people. It's so much easier, like in the midst of Cardi and Offset right now. You Offset on under her video saying y'all won. So it's like y'all, us, the collective, the other folk that ain't got nothing to do with their marriage, came in and was like, oh well, y'all won, even though I was out here being a whole ass, cheating and doing everything I possibly could to mess these things up. Y'all won. So it's basically, I'm blaming y'all for my behavior. I'm blaming y'all because y'all speaking up and saying, we not with the shits no more. And it's like, it's y'all fault. I'm loving the space that we're in right now, especially women are calling back and saying a lot of like, no, that this is your shit and you're going to carry it. And I love that we're pushing back against that narrative that even in the midst of that, you still have to carry somebody else's baggage. We're politely dropping off that baggage to the people that it belongs to and say, hey, this was never mine to begin with. I'm going to give it back to you anyway. You figure that out. I love that we're walking in that space now. But a lot of that comes to knocking on the person that you were before or knocking on that person that you're battling with right now, because a lot of us are battling some shit. A lot of us are battling some old dusty ass ideologies, some old paradigms and mindsets that we picked up along the way and decided that this was real. And a lot of us are battling that. We're deciding that, yep, this is me, even though it feels so uncomfortable. You're in your body, but you feel like the reverse of John Gray. You're not a big ass coat. You're a tiny ass members only jacket that don't fit no more. You trying to still make it hot, and it's like, no, it's not hot no more. It's been gone. We've been off that, and we're gonna have to find something else that fits us. And that could very well be, I can no longer be in the narrative of me blaming other people for my own shit. And like I said last night, our own shit doesn't have to be so detrimental that I went out of my way to actively hurt myself. It could be you knew something wasn't good for you, but you took it anyway because you did not want other people to be disappointed. You did not want to hurt anybody else's feelings or to disrupt their expectations of you because it's uncomfortable. And you put that person's feelings first outside of your own and ahead of your own, even though deep down everything in you was saying, don't do this. And I really truly believe in the narrative of the right person saying the wrong thing. I've been in so many spaces where the right person, being an elder, someone of authority, older family member that I really admired, coming in and saying the wrong thing. And me going, I can't go against them. I can't say I can't do that. I can't not do that because they're an elder. They're someone that I'm supposed to respect. Even though they don't have my best interest at heart, they actually have what they want me to do at heart. But I'm deciding that, well, I have to do this. We become addicted to that. We become addicted to approval. We become addicted to acceptance. We become addicted to, even though it's the right person, quote unquote, that is the person that we're trying to bring or give or acceptance and approval from, is for all the wrong reasons. And releasing the addiction to that. And it's so, addiction is hard. I being in therapy going on 13 on and off 13 years. I started at 18. And my last therapist, not the therapist I have now, but the therapist before, we had this connection where we both are children of alcoholic mothers. And she broke down the idea of the frontal cortex to me. And anyone that has an addiction, when they get way too far into that space, the frontal cortex disappears. So they no longer are able to empathize. They're no longer are able to understand the feelings of the people that are around them, that um, they are actively hurting these people. And they don't have the capacity in which to see that or experience that. All they care about is when's the next time they're going to feel better about this thing they're running away from. That's all they care about. They don't care about the family that they're breaking. They don't care about the children that they're abandoning. They don't care about the people that they're taking money from, or they don't care. They just care about how am I going to get my next whatever. And she looked at me and said, you're trying to rationalize with something that's irrational. And you have to get over the idea of trying to make sense of this thing because it does not make sense. And me being a high functioning depressive with anxiety, also being a overly analytical and overthinking Virgo, it is so hard for me to look at something and go, how can that actively not make sense and everything be okay with that not making sense? In and of itself, to me, that makes me so uncomfortable. And the just being addicted to having all the answers. I need to have all the answers because it makes me comfortable. It don't work that way. And it's so hard for me to, I'm sitting here with y'all trying to explain this thing and I'm still like, what the fuck? That doesn't make any sense. I don't like the fact that it doesn't make any sense. It makes me uncomfortable. I don't like that. I'm addicted to things being, having this is this and this is why this does this and this does that. Addiction doesn't work that way. Addiction nothing in life is linear. Very little. I'm not gonna say nothing, but very little in life is linear. That it literally goes from point A to point B. Those of us that are business owners, I have so many people that are looking at me right now that are business owners. We know what that feels like. Nothing is linear. We can be right here, and next week we up here, and next week we down here, and we're like, oh, plan B. Nope. A lot of us went from A to Q, and and then we work backwards, and we all over the place, and so we got numbers in there now. We doing algebra. That's where we at right now, and it's very hard for someone that's like, I need to have all the answers to go, yes, that makes sense. Trying to make sense of the things that don't make sense is what I was addicted to on top of all the other shit. I was addicted so much. And when I was in my didn't really understand things, but was kind of a jerk about not understanding them. That when I was a lot younger and I didn't have the language, I would look at those things and go, I'm not addicted to anything. Or I would laugh and be like, oh, I'm addicted to magazines. I'm addicted to these things. That's what I like. But not knowing I was running from what I was actually addicted to was my story and my narrative of being the victim. And again, acknowledging that and releasing that and continuing to release that. This is not, releasing these things is not a one-off thing. This isn't something that's going to happen once and you're going to go, oh, finally let go of it. It's fine. Everything's good. It don't work that way. You have to actively wake up every morning and go, I release this addiction. And it is one of the most bearing things. I was telling my therapist today that being the person I am now in this moment, right now, versus the woman that I had become accustomed to for 31 years. I don't always recognize the person I am. I don't always, and that's not ego. That's not a self-gas up. Self-gas ups are warranted. You need to gas yourselves up. It's an acknowledgement of, I'm at the crossroads of who I am accustomed to and who I want to be, who I desire to be, and who I really choose and want to become. And I have to decide which one am I going to be. I have to choose. And that means letting the ugly shit come up and having to face it. And the difference is I'm choosing to face it out loud. Y'all know I'm very transparent about my journey as far as depression, anxiety, and mental health and mental illness and everything is concerned. I'm also very transparent with my writing and the things in which I share, because growing up, I didn't have much of a voice, clearly. So my respite was writing. Started off as poetry, and now it has worked into essays and short narratives. And if I think about it, think pieces, those sort of things. That's where I am now when it comes to my writing. And it's very just trying to it's so many ways it goes, but ultimately it's very revealing and it's scary. And I won't say I've lost, because shout out to Shelly, my sister Shelly. I haven't lost people, I've shed people. And every instance of me moving up, I've shed friendships, I've shed relationships, I've shed jobs. And I would always fight against it. I would scream at Evan and go, why? I really love that person. I really cared about this. That was a really good friend of mine. And it was like, is it? Are they? Because every time you seem to move up, they disappear. So are they really? And I've had to come to terms with that. This year has been a really intense year of being alone and sitting with myself. The air quotes around this whole part, the ugly, selfish, needy child that I packed away at 8 years old and told her couldn't come back out because I had to grow up at 8, taking care of my mom and all these things. I didn't allow her. She would come up every once in a while and I'm, nope, ain't got time for this shit. Go back where you were. And we ain't dealing with this. And now she's finally called me to carpet. Be like, you're going to see me and you're going to deal with me. And that shadow work and those addictions have come forward to be dealt with. Because there's no way I can take these. This ain't even on no new year, new me shit about 2019. No, this is from this very second going forward. And we put so much pressure on, new year, I gotta do all these things, I gotta be this, I gotta be on top of this, I gotta start 8,000 businesses, and I gotta be Oprah, and I gotta be Beyonce's body double, and I gotta do all these things. And in actuality, it's like you're literally living from minute to minute, second to second, day to day. How do you want that day to be better? And that's something I have to ask myself every single day. Some days I don't ask myself. Some days I'm like, fuck it, I'm just gonna dirt my way through the rest of this day because I don't know. I don't know. And it can be really difficult to get through those things. But the second tip that I have for dealing with addictions is give yourself the grace to clumsily fall through this moment. If anyone has ever actively watched someone try to get sober, it is a very harrowing experience because you're seeing a side of someone that is so, it's the opposite of what you expect this to be. This is Batman becoming Bruce Wayne on it and deteriorating from there. And I've watched instances with my mom. I've had to pick her up when she fell. I've had to undress her when she fell asleep, wherever she landed. I've had to do a lot. And the difference is my mom has not ever been in a space of becoming sober, so I don't know that instance, but I've witnessed people work actively on becoming better, and it's not a full run and leap and get over the bar type of scenario. It's multiple instances of hitting that bar, not running fast enough, tripping over your feet, landing on your face, uh, being embarrassed, scraping your knees, messing your elbows up, dislocating shit until you finally ascend that bar. And we give the gold medal, but that person doesn't stop. They train again to descend that bar again. It's not something that ends. And to give yourself the grace to run clumsily towards that mark of releasing those addictions. It's not easy. Releasing of anything is not easy. It's a very it's a very scary space. But allowing yourself the peace and the acceptance to get through it, have a way you need to get through it, have a way, however long it takes, allow yourself that space. Nobody can tell you how quickly you need to get through it. Only you can decide that. And even then, if you like, you know what, I'm gonna change this, I'm gonna change the behavior right now, and in 2 weeks I'm gonna be good. And that could very well be an attainable goal. But allow yourself the space, like if it ends up being 3 months, that's okay too. That's, are you actively still working towards it? Great. Do you have a day when you don't want to do it? Yep. That's cool too. Just take your rest, get you a sip of water, make your plate if you need to, but don't stay there. Don't continue moving towards it like it's don't beat yourself up on the because of it or for the case of it, because that defeats the purpose. Those of us that have been on weight loss journeys, I've been on a weight loss journey for 8.5 years. It's not boded well for me so far. Even with me going vegan and then later shifting and being now vegetarian, I still find myself randomly eating red velvet cake. And even though I haven't had a taste for it, but then stress will come along and then all of a sudden I want red velvet cake and I'll binge bake the cake and then look at the cake and go, why did you do this to yourself? Like it's those days where you fall off the wagon. Releasing of emotional addictions is the same way. There isn't one way to do it. There isn't one way to get through it. Even my way that I'm talking right now may not resonate with everyone, and that's okay too. That's fine. That's fine. And but what is your emotional addiction? What are you addicted to that is keeping you bound in the space that you're in? Are you addicted to anger? Are you addicted to shame? Are you addicted to worthlessness? Are you addicted to that? Because a lot of the time, it feels so much better to feel bad than it does to feel good. Good is a spot that we get really uncomfortable in, especially those of us that have been through some shit. Feeling good is scary because, ooh, things are going good right now. That means pretty soon something's going to go bad. And no. I don't want to hope. I don't want to expect anything. I don't want to feel better. I just want to stay right here because this is comfortable. This is manageable. I'm more familiar with this right here. This makes more sense. And we become addicted to being in that space. because it's more comfortable being there. And working through the motions of I don't have to be here is scary because, again, going back to the first point, we have to acknowledge that we had a hand in putting ourselves there because we could have done something different and we chose not to. And that's some shit. So that is a reality that none of us are really apt at dealing with effectively. And that is why a lot of us do turn to actual substances and people and places and experiences, trying to pack a hole that is just asking to be filled with the right things and not with the shit that is allowing us to escape it. So number 3, in allowing yourself to release these emotional addictions are, I want to make sure I reference my notes because I did write down notes today. Really truly ask yourself, what are you lacking? Would you allow yourself to talk to a friend the way that you talk to yourself in these spaces? Would you want to hear somebody talk to you the way that you talk to you? What are you lacking? What are you circling the drain about? What are you telling yourself that you don't need when you actually need it? What are you allowing yourself to endure because you told yourself that this is what makes you strong? Like I posted yesterday, the perpetually fucked up rely on us being broken because they will break us down even more, and we'll call it strength. We'll call it, this is how I got through this. This is how I made it over. And we'll take that and go, oh, this is what made me who I am. This is why I'm like this. And we're no longer in the space where that's a good enough answer. Why did you do that? I don't know. I'm just like that. It's not. We're not accepting that no more. Just like we not accepting the big ass coats and all that shit. We not accepting. Oh, I'm just like that anymore. We're not. It's not a good enough reason. So what are you lacking? What is it that you are wanting to put into practice that is scary or it's so unfamiliar? What does it feel like to love yourself out loud without any outward expectation, without any outward say on how you should love yourself? And this ain't on no like weird ass motivational shit. Like this is some real deal inner healing working space. What are you lacking? What are you refusing to say out loud that you need? It don't have to be to anybody. It can be to you. What are you not giving yourself? This isn't financial. This isn't physical. This is emotionally and mental. What am I refusing to allow myself to have? Am I refusing to allow myself to have self-love and self-reverence and self-acknowledgement because somebody else told me that I don't deserve it? My mom treated me this way. My dad treated me this way. This cousin said something to me and it's been with me for the last however long years. Am I still allowing myself to be in that space? And again, I'm not coming at this from someone who has figured it out. I'm still actively in that space. These are the questions that I also ask myself. And not only am I president, I'm also a client in the shit that I deal with. So what are you lacking? What are you telling yourself that you don't deserve? What narrative have you bought into that no longer applies to you? What have you told? Like I'm working on I'm working within a space where it's a course about going from codependent to independent. And one of the questions that was asked, it was, are you going to allow yourself to continue buying into their experience of you, or are you going to buy into your own experience of you? Are you going to allow their narrative to be the one that you hold on to the tightest, or are you going to listen to your own narrative? Are you going to tap into yourself and go, no, actually, this is what I believe about me? Everybody in the room that you say that to can go, oh, here she go with shit. Here he go talking about how, here they go with the I don't feel like dealing with it. It doesn't matter. I don't really care whether or not you buy into my shit. I buy into my shit. And the person that is going to own up to their shit is me. So I don't need you to come in with a cosign. I don't need you to come in and go, yep, I believe, because we get addicted to that too. We get addicted to somebody coming in and go, yeah, girl, that's what you are. Yep, that's it. We don't need it. It feels good. It's appreciated, but we don't need it. We don't need it to go through whatever we need to go through. And a lot of it we can't have. A lot of us have been going through these things alone, not having anybody to turn to, not having anyone to fully embody what we're dealing with, and us not having the words, the tools, the language to fully just say whatever we need to say. And it's scary. It's so scary to wipe the mirror clean and see yourself for the first time, especially those of us that have been taught that the person that we're seeing is not good enough, is not worthy. Somebody just walked over and decided, you ain't shit. And we bought into it, especially if we got caught on a day where we already weren't feeling like shit. And somebody came in and basically made it happen, or gave us the up to say, yup, I knew I want shit. Like, don't catch me on the wrong day and tell me that I ain't shit. I'ma believe you because I'm already in a fucked up state of mind. So that's like what, even though it's an old saying, my friend a few months ago, when everybody was like complaining about the root cut note thing that was going on, and people calling her out on her shit and being like, wow, people are really getting into this thing, and how could she have done that to people, and how could people be so gullible, blah, blah, blah. My friend came on the post and was like, I could piss on your head right now and catch you on the right day and you swear it's raining. Let me catch you on the right day and I could fuck your whole existence up. And that's real, and those are things that we don't all the time want to acknowledge. And so beat people to the punch if you can. Find out within yourself what you're lacking. And like I said, the perpetually fucked up people find that so much quicker than we do. They hone in on it so quick, and they find it, and they like, the majority of the time that's something that they are refusing to acknowledge. They are refusing to see within themselves. So they decided, like, I'm just gonna fuck with this person because I don't feel like dealing with me, so I'm gonna fuck with them. And it's like that is something that we've become. That's something we've become addicted to. And then, worst off, we try to fix those people. We try to find ways of filling in the gaps with them because we think it's going to redeem us. We think it's going to make us better. And they're going to finally acknowledge us, whether it's a friend, a lover, partner, your boss, your children. Because that was something my therapist hit me with today. Your children can do these things as well. And you're filling up the holes and the gaps with them, trying to make things easier. And they see what you're doing. They may not be able to verbalize it. They may not be able to like put a finger specifically on it, but they see what you're asking for. One of my coworkers, as I was talking to him, was like, we got on the subject of manipulation, and he was like, I can manipulate you all day because all you really want is just somebody to listen to you. And it didn't come from an egotistical space. It didn't come from a little girl. You should be talking to somebody. You just want somebody to hear you. It came from, he's like, no, I can manipulate you. So you are so easy to manipulate because all you want is to be heard. So I could fake hear you and you'll think that I'm giving you everything you need. And I was like, I had nothing. It's the first time somebody has ever said that to me, and that was because it's true. All my life, all I've ever wanted was somebody to hear me. I've wanted somebody to acknowledge me. I wanted somebody to pay attention to me. And again, not from an egotistical space, but from a child being like, "Hey, I'm here. Can someone talk to me? Can someone like literally come down here where I am, being for me, being the only child in the house around all these adults, and I just wanted somebody to see me." And that was it. I just wanted somebody to hear me. I just wanted somebody. And even now, me being a professional writer and throwing things out into the void, hoping somebody picks it up and decides that they want to get into this. They want to talk about this. They want to share with me about these things. And they're like, oh. And then I go, oh. And then we're all like, oh. And that's the acknowledgement that I had been seeking my whole life. Somebody to pay attention and hear me and listen to me and go, oh, that's great, Joy. And my therapist hit me with that today. She's like, and then what? What do we do then? Um, what do we do with that after? And that's been the reality of coming to terms with the things that I had been hiding from myself and thought I was doing a really good job at hiding from myself until that until it really called me to carpet and demanded to be dealt with, because I again can't go forward into the rest of my life with that. So 3 tips on dealing with emotional addiction. Again, tip number 1, acknowledging that you're addicted. Acknowledging that it's there, acknowledging that it's a reality for you, acknowledging that it matters to you, and actively doing the self-check. What are you really, what are you avoiding? What are you not dealing with? Why are you not dealing with it? And creating within yourself a safe space to do it. Number 2, allowing yourself the grace to get through it. Allowing yourself the however way you fall, you trip, you flail, however way you decide to get through after learning and acknowledging your emotional addictions. And emotional addictions, again, come from what are the things that you do when you're triggered, the experiences and the things that you're deciding are really reinforcing behaviors with you. That's one side of emotional addiction. The other side of emotional addiction are what are those very emotions, those very feelings that you're addicted to experiencing, and how do you deal and work through those? And then number 3 is asking yourself, what are you lacking? What holes do you have that you need to pack? And pack with it. What holes do you have that are packed up with some bullshit that you need to unpack? What is it that you've packed this thing? And like those of us that have had like wisdom teeth removed or any sort of surgery, you know that you have to pack that wound first so that it doesn't get infected. But what are you packing your wounds with? What are you packing with this? Are you packing it with unresolved rage? Are you packing it with hypersensitivity? Are you packing it with victimhood? Are you packing it with just apathy? I can't be bothered with anything. I don't give a fuck about anything. And are you packing it with an overly helpful nature? And overly helpful as in you are escaping things that you are refusing to acknowledge, and then are instead helping these people over here, helping this over here. What are you escaping? What are you lacking? What are you refusing to acknowledge? And what are you filling your holes with? What are you filling your holes with? What out of those holes needs to be unpacked and taken away? And what can you refill those things with? And in that space of refilling things, number 4, what are the active, not passive, not when I feel like it, which, it's understandable, but active. What are the active emotions, positive emotions, that I can adjust to? I was talking today to a book editor, and I was explaining to her how heavily into imposter syndrome I get when it comes to talking about myself in a creative space, and acknowledging how many books I've written and how many pieces I've written, and I have this blog and I'm participating in this. I tend to rattle off things like I just did in a matter of fact way, as if they're over here and I'm all the way over here. And instead of just embodying those things and going, yes, this is me, it doesn't have to come from an egotistical space. For me, it doesn't come from an egotistical space. It comes from a space of acknowledgement. I have done these things. I have accomplished these things. I have been a part of these things. And I'm still accomplishing and still a part of and still creating these things. I haven't stopped. And realizing that I can take this thing from over here and fuse it into me because it was a part of me the whole time. Someone or something or myself decided that, oh, I have to take this off me, put it over here so it makes other people feel comfortable. No. If you're not comfortable with who I am, that's your fault. So, and that's something I'm coming to terms with. And me saying that is a brand new idea. Me saying, I don't care if this makes you uncomfortable. This is who I am, is brand new. And I've had to replace the old things that I was filling these holes with this new narrative of, you know what, I am pretty dope. I am pretty cool. Huh. Like I've had to do that. And I still stumble through it. Point number 2, I still stumble through it. I still get all flubbed up in words and say random things because I'm trying to get the attention off of me. But when everything is said and done, when you list off my bio, everything on that bio is true. I haven't added anything that's not actually there. And I've had to own up to while I wasn't paying attention to me, I actually accomplished this really cool thing. I actually made this thing over here happen when I was so actively telling myself that I ain't shit. That over there got accomplished. And I've had to take a step back and go, oh wow. And I've had to replace that narrative. Not going to say had, because that denotes that I wasn't willing to do it. I've chosen to replace that narrative. I'm not allowing myself, willfully allowing myself to continue to trash myself. Whether it is self-imposed or whether it is a narrative that was ingrained in me. It's toxic. I'm calling it out for what it is, and I am replacing it with something that is healthy. Whatever that healthy looks like. Your healthy looks like you're healthy. My healthy for me looks like my healthy. Whatever that looks like, nobody can tell you what you can or cannot do in that space when it comes to you meeting yourself where you are. So those are my 4 tips when it comes with facing emotional addictions. this goes way, way deeper because there are a lot of us that have been addicted to these things for a really long time. And it can be very hard to deal with. It can be very hard to acknowledge. And it's not a one-stop shop. You're not going to be fixed in January. You're not going to be fixed on December 31st. You may not be fixed 5 years from now. It's taking me about 3 years to get to here. And the work that I did from then to now still counts. And that's something I'm coming to terms with as well. It still counts because I had good intentions, but I had yet to really fully embody true inner healing and true inner unpacking in order to be healed until now. And I started that road 3 years ago. Unwittingly, like I didn't realize I was on the road until I'm like, oh shit, well, here we are. And now I'm here. And the best part of being here, one, is being able to share this and really like tell these stories and acknowledge the space. And more importantly, and most importantly, help someone with this. I wish I would have met my therapist and met these people earlier than I did. But the reality of that is, would I have been willing? Would I have actually listened? Would I have been willing to give up my addictions? Because they were so comfortable. They were so familiar. They're all I knew. Would I have been willing to give them up at that time? I wouldn't have. I was so addicted to helping other people to my own demise. I don't do that anymore. I actively ask myself, do I have room to engage this? Somebody sends me a text message like, oh, girl, oh, my child is doing this and my house on fire and I lost my cat and all these things. I'm like, do I have room to deal with this right now? Instead of going, oh, wait, you gotta find the cat and the old child and all the house. And I have to ask myself, do I have room? Do I have room? And I'm actively asking my friends as well to ask each other and to be in those spaces where we are allowing ourselves, and Instagram did the thing where it cuts off for no reason. Allowing ourselves to ask the question and pose those questions of, do you have the space? Do you have the bandwidth? Do you have the intention of listening to me with this? Because whatever I have for you is heavy. Whatever I want to discuss with you right now is heavy. You may not have the space, so I want to present to you or give you the Give you the ability. It's not really the choice. Maybe it's choice. To decide whether or not you're able to lift this. I encourage us to do that for our friends and for the people that we love. When we come to them, we had a really hard day, we had a really bad day, and to at least posit the question of, look, this is the day I've had. It's been utter garbage. That being said, you're typically my person to help me go through these things. Do you have the room? If you don't have the room, let me know, because we don't need extra people in here being burdened. If you do have the room, let's figure out how we're going to do this. Let's go sit down. And actually, Kaylin Coghill is the person that gave me that language of, do I have room to deal with these things? Do I have room to talk about these things, acknowledge it, to even go through the motions of it? Do I have room? And it's okay if I don't. It's okay if I don't have room. It's fine. It's fine. And also, you have to ask yourself that as well. Like, somebody's coming at you and be like, oh, like I said, the house on fire and the cat gone and all these things. Do I have the room? Am I addicted to, am I so addicted? This is for those of us who we are, we love our emotional labor. We love being in safe places. We love having those conversations. We love being like, oh, girl, let me put all my things down so I can listen to you. It's valid. It's necessary in a lot of ways. But we also don't always give ourselves the room to feel like, I really don't feel like picking this up right now. I really don't feel like having this conversation. I really, really don't. And we don't oftentimes give ourselves the space to do that. So that's a challenge. Maybe I'll do a challenge now. I don't know. That's a challenge. How can you best acknowledge the room that you have? I'm not going to say make room. Some of us don't have room. Like, many of us are dealing with a lot of other mental things. We're dealing with seasonal depression at this moment. It gets dark really quickly. A lot of our friends and family members and those our chosen family, however, dealing with things right now because it gets a lot darker, a lot earlier. And because this year has been really hard on a lot of us. And now the sun that went down earlier too. Well, damn. Like you say, check in with the people that are your strong friends. We say that all the time. Oh, check in with your strong friend. We say that all the time. And then we'll shoot off a text message. Hey girl, how you doing? I'm girl. I'm fine. Oh, okay, and we just leave them. The default reaction is, yeah, I'm fine. My hair's on fire and I'm punching myself in the face, but I'm fine. I'm good. I'm fine. And I'm really embodying that space of it's okay not to be okay. And I'm also acknowledging when I'm not fine and being okay with saying I'm not fine. That's such a new thing to me too. Joy, you doing all right? You want to talk about it? And then that's when that conversation comes in. Can I have this conversation with you? Are you the person that I can share these things with? If I am in that space where I need to bleed, not to say I'm going to bleed all over you, but are you in the space to be able to see me bleeding and not go run for a tourniquet, but just like let me bleed? And not also be in such a rush to clean me up either. Like, sometimes you just gotta let that shit fall. And are you in that space? Are you in the capacity in which to do that? You gotta be honest. So, and you'll help out your friends so much more, because a lot of us, especially those of us that are empaths and those of us who work in holistic spaces, we feel everything. And those are the friends that you also need to check up on, the ones that feel all the things. And because those are the ones that deal with the deepest wounds of emotional addiction. And we're the ones that deal with the it's in the bone marrow. It's beyond skin deep. It's cellular. And we need that help. We need as much Reiki as we pass out. We need as much hands on us that we give to other people. And so, yeah, that's a challenge. How can you best work with your room? I'm not saying make more room. Some of us don't have it. I'm saying acknowledge the room that you have and challenge yourself to not freely give it away just because you feel like you can or you should, or somebody convinced you that you have to because they want you to do all this emotional labor and they refuse to do their own. Yeah. So I hope I don't know if I want to answer some questions. I I will be going through the comments after because the way I have things set up, I have Instagram over here and I have Facebook right here. And my Instagram feed is kind of in the way of the Facebook feed, so I can't see a lot of the things that are coming out. I'm just seeing as they go up. But yeah, so if you enjoyed this, please let me know. Please tell me whether or not this was something that was beneficial for you. Let me know what other things you may want me to share and talk about. Again, I am not a licensed professional. I am, well, I'm a Reiki 2 specialist. That helps. Um, but I am a subject matter expert in what I have been dealing with and working through and flowing through. And a lot of those things are things that a lot of us are going through at the moment. And I am learning that how we get over is through obviously the testimony of other people. And how I get through it is by sharing my story and not clamping down and saying that, oh, nobody cares. I'm not going to talk about this. So I don't want anybody to view me differently because they already have in their brain that, oh, Joy is this. She's done that. She's done that. I didn't put that in your brain. You did. So I want to continue to create those spaces and really, especially in 2019, create more constructive and conducive to healing spaces that, again, because I'll be picking up my healing network again in this coming year. And I truly believe that I had to go through all of this to really be at a space to work through this stuff and to be able to help with these things. So I'm grateful to be in these spaces. It's hard. But please check on me. This is me asking if you have the room. Please check on me because it's hard. But I'm willing to do the work because I know healing myself also helps other people heal, and it's not selfish. It's cliche as all hell, but you got to put your mask on first. You have to be a part of your own rescue, and I'm learning that it's okay to do that. And coming from a space of martyrdom and centering martyrdom specifically for me, putting on my own mask is it's a step because I was so okay to die for other people. And my therapist called me out today. She's like, martyrs are still dead, right? Like they die. That's what martyrs do. You don't want to die. You obviously don't want to. So why do you keep exhibiting that behavior when you know it's the opposite of what you want to actually do and be? And I know it's a lot. It has a lot to do with my upbringing and doing all those things. So it's not conducive. And unpeeling all of that shit is very painful. But growth hurts, healing hurts, it's uncomfortable, it's unfamiliar, it's annoying. But if we are to move forward and be the dope, incredible, magnificent individuals that we are meant to be, we have to. The great thing is that we don't have to do it alone. There are going to be lonely moments. There are going to be times when you can only ascend this mountain by yourself. But you don't have to do it alone. And this is my way of not doing it alone. So if you want me to share, again, if you want me to share anything else, so you have other topics, please let me know in the comments. And then also, please share with me what you thought about this video so I can work on some things, because this is something that I want to continue doing more of. So yeah, give me your feedback. I really appreciate it. And until next time, I will talk to y'all later.